Hello, it's Nikki. How you doing? Today, I want to take you back to 1996, 97. What were you doing then? I was getting serious slash having fun. It was that time for me. I was sort of 13, 14, 15, can't do my maths. Yeah, like year 10, and you're in that kind of GCSE, let's go, let's work out our options, let's make decisions now that are going to impact the rest of our lives. I remember actually having a meeting that I only wanted to do a single science. And the people kept saying, the teachers kept saying, look, unless you do this dual award, you won't get to be a doctor or a nurse if you wanted to later down the line. I was like, it's all right. I feel fairly confident that medicine is not for me. And at 42 years old, I was right. I'm going to say it. I was right. Anyway, it was at that time where the studying began to ramp up and making all of those choices, putting things in place. And we had this session, which I don't even know how regular it was. It was called Life Skills. There was no GCSE in it. I was going to say there's no point to it, but I'm sure there were some good bits. But now, as a fully formed adult, I definitely think that there should have been some other topics covered in it. So I'm very happy to rewrite that curriculum if they need me to. You know, things like tax, mortgages, STDs. What else should we throw in there? I mean, everything, like how to book a flight, all of that. Nobody teaches you those things unless you do them. I don't know why STDs came in there, but there we go. Anyway, there was a day when I remember a careers advisor came in, and she walked in a very serious way, and she had a lot of urgency to her energy, her vibe. So the first kind of 10 minutes she spoke, and she was basically putting the fear of God into us, saying that we needed to make a decision now for the rest of our lives. And what she wanted ultimately, I think, is to put us in some boxes. I'm just going to put you in that box and I'm going to sign you off and you are done. And there were some people who were very compliant with that. Like, yep, I'd like to be a lawyer, please. I'd like to be an accountant. I've got a dual award science. I'd like to be a doctor, please. I'd like to be a hairdresser. I'd like to work with children. People started to please her because they had obvious choices, or choices of the 90s in terms of job descriptions. And I knew that when it came round to me, already I was going to be seen as somebody complicated, or, can't make a mind up, or all of these quite negative things, like, oh, she's causing trouble, or there's always one. Yeah, I was often that one. There's always one, somebody wanting to do something different. And the fact that I had a plan in my head to go to drama school at 18, already that ruffled some feathers with her. She was just like, oh no, this is not really in the plan. I don't really know how to help you. And I'm sure it came from a good place. But ultimately, I felt like it wasn't going to work. Anyway, as I got into the conversation, I very much realized I needed to not say very much at all, which happened. So I just kind of went, I'm going to drama school, and don't worry, like, I've got a book from the library I'm going to follow, and like move on to the next person ultimately. And it was in that moment that, and of course this is all pre-internet, so that library card was like a golden ticket. I realized, I'm going to have to figure this out by myself. Because at that time, I didn't know any actors. I didn't know any creatives. I didn't have like a supermodel mum and a rock star dad, even though they're really cool in their own way. But I didn't have that obvious sort of step up, or I didn't have somebody who could just like phone somebody in Soho. Like, there was none of that. And at the time, that felt like quite a rocky decision to other people. Internally, it felt great because I was focused, I knew where I was going, I knew what I was doing, and it was all great. And at that time, I was very much the minority. So lots of my friends were following much more sort of straightforward paths. You know, they had their own interests, they had their own talents and that own sense of like, oh my goodness, this is what I'm meant to do. And they were following that. And what I have noticed as I've been doing this for the last, well, sort of 25 years, the more I have gone along in this 25-year cycle, the more I've realized that other people need to or want to design their own version of their business model, of their life and business blend. And definitely, I think there has been a realization, certainly post-COVID, that we have to make things work for ourselves because, and this sounds kind of dramatic, but nobody is coming unless we speak up about what we need or what we want. The system won't support us, or things will remain the same. So certainly I can give you the example of childcare in COVID. I am sure there are many big businesses that it suddenly dawned on them because the dad, or the man was at home. They had that dawning of, oh, somebody needs to look after the children. Who does that? How does that all happen? And that was so fascinating and really enjoyable to experience that transformation, because when people got it, they suddenly went, oh, right, well, we need a hybrid model, or we need to incorporate flexible working, or we need to be in conversation with our customers and our employees. And yeah, I really hope that it will instigate change. Going back to the point, I want you to think about your business model right now and if it actually works for you. And I'm going to give you 3 sort of prompts to play with. The first is, does it work with your personality? Now, again, there is very much this narrative of just keep working hard, keep doing the things, and work, there was all that thing like work hard, work has to be sacrificed and not enjoyable and endured and all of that. I don't believe that. I think many of us actually want to have a nice time working. Many of us don't just want to show up and be dead behind the eyes and do what's required and then leave. Most of us want to have some kind of satisfaction. So I want you to think about your personality and whether or not you are in a state and in a place of feeling good. And again, there might be days where I have to do a load of admin. And on those days, I might be like, I am not really enjoying this, but I know it needs to get done. But generally, the work that I do, I really love, and I wouldn't want to do anything else. So really thinking about your personality. Is your current business model ticking those boxes? Secondly, your circumstances. So when we talk about circumstances previously, I think for many of the women that had gone before me in my family, or those I've read about, or those that I've met, or those I've never met, the stories that we would hear was very much as women entered the workplace and they started doing things, it was almost like that permission from men of like, yeah, no problem, or society, no problem, you can come in, but if you could just do everything else alongside this, that would be great. And then that means that you can continue doing what we need you to do. So for many years, I believe people were stuck in that narrative of I'll just keep doing all the things and I'll just put my own needs to the side. And don't worry, I don't need to sleep, and I'll multitask and I'll do all the things and I'll be available and I'll stick a smile on my face. But we all know that behind the scenes, people were crying in cupboards at work. People were being a bit passive aggressive. People were not living out their full out version of their life. So the way that I work is very much about your circumstances and acknowledging them. And really thinking, okay, so if you want to have more time with your children, how do you build this business model so the two things work together in a really lovely way? The final thing is about your own personal goals. So we realize through adulting that nobody comes along and gives us like pats on the back of like, well done, you are acing adulting. I mean, we might feel that from our friends or our peers, but ultimately it's about making yourself happy. So, and I really believe that if you're in that place where it feels really good, you're more likely to be a great person in the world. And ultimately, we can all people please and do all the things for other people, but you are in your life and in your body the most amount of time. So you may as well give what it is that you want to go. But what I do find is that many of my clients maybe don't necessarily know, or perhaps they've forgotten, or they need to reassess what they actually want. So my final takeaway for you today is to really think about what it is that you want and what your version of success is going to be, what's important to you. And it doesn't have to be anything grandiose or exceptional or wowing for anybody else. This is simply about you and really taking that time for yourself to consider it. I'm going to leave it there. If you want to chat further, I would love to support you. I'd like to walk you through all of these points and really help you to design and deliver this on your terms and it feeling really good. And not just in a 10 years time, like how can we do this right now? How can we make this work? What tweaks do we have to make? And remember, sometimes it feels like you have to go from 0 to 100. You actually don't. A few little tweaks along the way might be all you need. So if you want to set up a chat, if you want to have a conversation about this, drop me a message via my website, send me an email. My details are all there, and let's speak further. Lots of love. Bye.